Subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to get all the latest updates. Our journey across India has now brought us to the national capital, and at this moment I am standing right outside the COVID building in Delhi's Safdarjung Hospital. This hospital has been one of the main responders to the pandemic, and officially the numbers we know so far is that more than 100 people have died here from the coronavirus. Now take a moment to think about what this means for doctors at the front line of service and what it means especially for women. Women are among those who are corona warriors, but sometimes the issues that they are grappling with can be very, very different. In fact, here there is a group of female doctors who are on COVID duty, and we're going to be talking to some of them. You can see them standing here and getting a few minutes, just a few minutes off, which must be quite rare. But first, let's just have you introduce yourselves to our viewers. Your name?
Hi Barkha, I'm Dr. Mahima. I'm working as a senior resident in anesthesia department here at Safdarjung.
And what about you?
Hi Barkha, I'm Dr. Jasmine. I'm also working as a senior resident in anesthesia department, taking care of COVID ICUs.
And what about you?
Hi Barkha, I'm working as senior resident in Department of Ops and Gynae.
So tell me this, are all of you on COVID duty?
All of us are working in the COVID sector right now, and it's a little hard right now because the disease is catching up and the workload is increasing for all of us, but we're sort of gearing up for the increase in workload.
So we're going to walk a little bit here. We're standing right outside the COVID building in Safdarjung Hospital. Now the one thing is that all of these three doctors that you see here are also young mothers, and that can throw up all kinds of anxieties, all kinds of issues at this point. And there are more women doctors also. There's a whole gang of you, right?
Oh, there's a huge gang of us who's right now posted in the COVID building, and we're serving COVID patients round the clock in rotations of 12 hours each. And I think we've all got kids who are in the age group ranging from 6 months to around 2 years, 2.5 years.
So all the women COVID doctors here are moms?
Most of them.
So most of the COVID doctors here are moms, and what does that actually mean? Now I know that you among all the doctors, you have the youngest baby. How old is your baby?
She's just 6 months old now.
What's her name?
Turvi Jodha.
Okay. So, as doctors, do you go back and do you meet your families, or do you go into quarantine?
We are into quarantine. We cannot go back to meet our families. That will be, exposing them to some sort of risk, and we don't want to do that at all. So we are not even going our homes. We've been provided with separate accommodation. We do our duty, we go back to the accommodation, do video chats. That's what we can do.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now, it doesn't matter what profession it is. Women have to work doubly harder to get to the same place as men. Women face pressures that men simply do not. Women carry the responsibility of both work from home and work at home. So what does this mean at a time like this? What's been the toughest part as parents, as mothers?
Barkha, when I joined work as an anesthetist after my maternity leave, I thought I was going through the toughest phase of my life, where I was, juggling between breastfeeding and, trying to catch up with the rest of my colleagues who'd been working day and night while I was sitting at home on maternity leave, and trying to build up a career, which is literally starting your career right from scratch after you come back after a break of 7 months. But at this time, when I'm posted in the COVID duty away from my son for almost 20 to 25 days at a stretch, wondering that I might just be the most harmful thing for my son at present, it's heart-wrenching, it's heartbreaking. But I would also like to add that we're probably trying to turn that pain into drive to serve our patients better, because when we leave our children for 20-25 days at a stretch, we're working doubly hard because that time away from our kids better be worth it.
Is this the toughest thing you've ever experienced in your life so far?
Absolutely.
So we're talking here about doctors who also happen to be mothers, and the reason that we're focusing on this is because there's no question that, as I've said, and I really believe this, that these are women who are inspiring, they're risking their own lives, but they're also being made to stay away from their children, and that can come with all kinds of pressures. Women are terrible at being guilty. I hope you're not being guilty.
No, we're not
Good
being...
for you. Yeah.
Definitely not. See, this is also our responsibility. That is also our responsibility. We are just trying to strike a balance obviously our families are there who are taking care of our kids.
Has there been pressure from home?
No, not at all.
Pressure?
Not at all.
Pressure?
Not really from my immediate home front, but from a lot of friends, a lot of women who are working in other professions who happen to know me. I have faced a lot of criticism on WhatsApp and a lot of other friends.
Are you serious? I have to come here. You have faced, let's come here. You have faced criticism instead of accolades. You're being judged by other women. For what?
I would just like to share something very small incident. When I was leaving my son and going, a friend of mine happened to meet me just to wish me luck for this duty. So her immediate statement was, "Oh my God, you're leaving your son for 25 days. He's just 1.5 years old." And I was, dumbstruck for a moment. And then I said, "I have no option." She was like, "Well, you can resign."
They wanted you to resign, give up your career, give up this public service. They wanted to guilt trip you.
And I was amazed because, my husband, my mother, my mother-in-law, they were absolutely fine with it,
And can I say that even if they were not fine, it's your choice?
It's actually our choice. It's actually our choice. And I would actually like to add, where, my friend then went on to say that, actually women have stepped up as professionals. I would like to add that, if we've stepped up as professionals, our fathers have also stepped up as parents.
Yeah.
Now, there's nothing called motherhood and fatherhood. It's all about parenthood. And, parents are now sharing the journey and sharing the burden. So
That's so well said, and I really feel that, in fact, maybe this crisis and seeing women like you at the front line should teach us that what we need is family leave even and not maternity leave, because till there is equality at home, there cannot be equality at work. Have you been guilt-tripped by friends?
Never.
You have a 6-month-old baby, right?
Yeah, I have a 6-month-old baby. I just came from a maternity leave 10 days back, and I had to leave her in a different city. She's in a different city only with my parents. So at least I'm kind of sure that she's like a safe hands. I don't want my presence should harm her anyhow. So that is the only concern that I had. Obviously leaving her, it's the most painful thing in my life, I'll say, till now. And I get to see her on video and everything. But the only positivity that drives me to keep working is a little smile on my patient's face. I'll say when they say कि ईश्वर आपको आपके घर वालों को खुश रखे, is the most beautiful thing.
You've seen deaths here, right? The official figure is more than 100 released by the medical superintendent now, so I'm not putting you on the spot by asking you about that. How do you deal with it? And it's very difficult for me. I hate being called a woman journalist. I'm a journalist. I'm sure you don't want to be called women doctors. You're just doctors. You're ready to compete on the same terms. But there are things we grapple with that men don't, like the extra pressures, like the judgment, like the criticism, like the scrutiny if we succeed. How about PPE? I ask this because I've worn it now 8 to 10 times in the last 80 days that I've been traveling. And, I think of myself as a really tough person, but every time I wore it, I felt someone was killing me. What is it like to wear PPE? A nurse was telling me to bleed in one, to have your period while you're wearing one. It's a completely unspeakable experience.
It's suffocating. It's, it's like, someone's literally choking you to death. But then, you have a patient right in front of you who needs you. A patient who would probably die if you walk out of that PPE and that zone. So that's an extra responsibility, and it's also a moment of honor for us. A lot of women have bled through PPEs. I know women who have had miscarriages in their PPEs and
Really?
just smiled and come back to work.
They've had a miscarriage in their PPE?
They've been bleeding through those PPEs and they've come back to work. They've smiled through it and they've just been warriors. And that's because, we're all standing by each other, She's a mother, I'm a mother. We're working and we know the pain. And at some point, our patients know the pain too. A few days ago, there was a patient in our COVID ICU. He kept, asking me again and again. Every 5 minutes, the same question came up. When are you going to send me home? When am I going home? Yeah. I'm fed up of being here. When are you sending me home?
It's the most common question.
So I said, you're not well, you're not fine, you're not stable. We can't send you home. He said, doctor, you will not understand. I have a 3-year-old son. I'm away from him. You will not understand. I just held his hand and I said, look, I have a 1.5-year-old son living away from me, and for as long as you're here, I'm here. So let's do this together. You'll go back. Yeah. So that conviction helps us fight the blood, helps us fight the pain, helps us fight the cramps. It helps us fight everything that's, holding us.
But you've actually seen colleagues who've had a miscarriage?
Yes.
That's painful.
It is.
What's the toughest thing you've seen?
See, it's dealing with the emotional part of patients and their relatives. Yeah. See, the relatives cannot meet the patients. They don't know how the patients are, and with COVID, there's this uncertainty, oh, I'll be able to see my patient or not. And if not, whether I'll be able to see the patient ever again. That counseling part, apart from the medicine part, that is going on. That counseling part is very difficult. Dealing with the pain, the despair, the uncertainty those patients have, like she was telling. They keep on talking, and some of them are so good. They understand what is happening, why they are being isolated. That part, I think, is very sad.
Do you like being called female doctors, or do you just want to be known as doctors?
We are doctors. We want to be known.
All of us are just doctors.
Yeah.
Equal responsibility we share, male or female. And as you said about parenthood, see, my child is at home and she is being taken care of by her father and my family. There's a great support, but her father is there with her. So he's the single parent right now, and I am in isolation. So that responsibility is equal at home, and as doctors, it's equal responsibility we share here.
I think the three of you and the all-women gang, as I'm calling them, of doctors here at the COVID facility in Safdarjung are great role models for other women. Women who talk about how difficult it is to juggle careers at home. These women are actually juggling lives. They're taking risks with lives every day. Yes, I think none of us as women want to be gendered, but it's equally true that in an unequal world, we're working much harder, we're taking different risks. I'm doing nothing compared to what they're doing, but even I know this from the media. Last message to all women in all professions.
There's nobody in this world who can tell what a woman can do and what a woman cannot do. And a loud shout out to all the fathers who are as good as the mothers at home, to our kids' grandparents, their nannies and dadis who are, replacing us as mothers in their lives, who are making sure our kids are safe. Our kids are safe, they're being brave. So we are being able to, put up a brave front and give our best at our place of work.
Thank you for what all three of you are doing. This is a story of hope and optimism and strength more than anything else. It's about modern women, but it's also a story about modern men. And that's something that we need to remember as we all grapple with all kinds of emotion during this pandemic.